Salam, shalom, kia tōtarangi Māori e kia koutou, peace be with you. Peace, a great prayer that Jesus prayed for his disciples when he came into the upper room, and very much at the heart of this Sunday's gospel. Jesus says, I say this to you who are listening, to those of you who are listening. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse for you. Pray for those who treat you badly. What a dramatic call Jesus places on our hearts. I don't know about you, but there are some people in my lives that I struggle with, and it's hard to let it go, isn't it? But Jesus just doesn't call us to treat others like we'd like to be treated ourselves, to those that we might have an issue with. He wants it to go even further, to loving enemies. In 2023, I was privileged to be part of a group of New Zealanders and Australians in Jerusalem. And we had a talk by two mothers. Robbie was a Jewish mother. Leila was a Muslim mother. And both of them had lost children in the conflict in the Holy Land. Robbie's story was her son was called up to the army. But he said to his mother, I'll always have the code of ethics in my pocket and I'll live by it. He was coming towards the end of his term in the army and was working at a checkpoint this day where Palestinians have to pass each day backwards and forwards between the Palestinian territories and Israel. And he was required to search a Palestinian. And he started off by apologising to the Palestinian. I'm sorry I have to do this. It's part of my job, but I want to do it as quickly and easily as we can so as to preserve your dignity and so you can get on your way. The Palestinian was shocked, but he acquiesced to this request. The search was done, and the Jewish officer said to him, have a great day. The Palestinian was amazed. He'd never experienced anything like that before. The next day, this Jewish officer was shot by a sniper. His mother, Robbie, after they caught the sniper, wrote to him and wrote to his parents. She said, I hold no recriminations, but I'd love to be able to meet you, that we can have a conversation of reconciliation. She never heard back from the sniper. The parents of the sniper wrote and said, why would we want to do that? Our son is a hero. Love your enemies. Leila, the Muslim mother, had a different story. She lived in a village in the Palestinian territories, and this day the Israeli army came with guns and tear gas, and her 6-month-old baby was severely impacted by the tear gas. They were rushing the baby to a hospital, and they got stopped at a checkpoint and turned around. They went to another checkpoint, and again they were turned around. By the time they got to a third checkpoint, they were desperate, and they were screaming and yelling. An officer came out to hear what all the noise was about, and he just laughed at them and walked away. They got the child to the hospital eventually, but the hospital staff said, why did you leave it so late? And the baby died a few hours later. A friend of Leila's said, you need to come to Family Circle. What's Family Circle? Leila asked. It's a group of Jewish and Muslim parents who have lost children in the conflict, who work for peace and support each other so that hate doesn't take root in our hearts. She said, why would I want to go to something like that? They killed my baby. But the friend just kept at her and at her and at her until the day came when she gave in. And she said that when she went to the first Family Circle meeting, she was just amazed. Here were Jewish and Muslim parents crying together, laughing together, hugging each other. And she knew she'd come to the right place. She was giving a talk one night, like she was giving to our group. And at the end of it, a man came up to her and asked her about all the details about where this happened, particularly where the officer laughed. And she gave the details of time and where. And then he said, I was the officer who laughed at you. He said, some years later, I had a similar experience when I was trying to rush my child to hospital, and we got stopped. And I remembered with shame what I had done to you. I resigned immediately from the army, and I want to find a way of peace. It was a powerful, powerful talk. Love your enemies. Pray for those who hate you. At the end of the talk, and we were a group made up of Australians and New Zealanders, an Australian got up and did a thank you. And then I got up and I said, look, we're a group of two countries, Robbie and Leila. In New Zealand, when we've had a presentation like this, we often sing a waiata, a hymn. And we want to sing a hymn to you. It's a hymn called Ka Waiata, and it's about Mary, the mother of Jesus. Robbie, like you, Mary was a Jewish mother. And like you, her son was killed. And for you, Leila, as a Muslim, like us Christians, you hold Mary, whose son was killed, in high, high esteem. So in a way, Mary is the one who holds us all together, Christians, Jews and Muslims. Mary, whose son was killed to bring peace to our world. I said in this hymn that we're going to sing, and it's sung in Māori, the first language of New Zealand, there's some beautiful words about Mary. A beautiful woman, a strong woman, a woman of peace. And that's what we've seen in the two of you tonight. As we sung Ka Waiata, the two of them, a Jewish mother and a Muslim mother, whose sons had been killed, and yet who had overcome hatred and being enemies, held on to each other tight and cried as we sang. Love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Pray for peace. Can I ask you today to pray for peace in the Holy Land? This cross that I'm wearing was given to me by a Palestinian who came to New Zealand as a refugee when he was a child. He's returned to Bethlehem now. And I said to Bassam when he gave it to me, Bassam, pray over it. And he prayed for peace in the Holy Land. But it's not only in the Holy Land. It's peace in the Ukraine and peace in so many other troubled parts of our world. But also peace in our hearts and our nation and our families. So easily we can treat each other badly. We can hold hate in our heart. And we'd rather keep enemies than love enemies. Jesus calls us to a radical change of heart. God bless you all.